Hey guys, this is Shula from shulatutoring.com. In this video, I will go over practice tests on physical and chemical properties and changes. So here's how it works. If you look at the description for this video, you will see that there is a link there. If you click on that link, you will see a practice test. It's a PDF file. So I want you to first do the questions yourself, and then you can watch the rest of this video, which is the explanation part. So this way you can check your answers. You can see how many questions you got right, how many questions you got wrong, if any, and you can assign yourself a grade. So there are two goals here, right? So first, you will know if you know this material, right? You will know if you mastered this topic, number one. Number two, hopefully by the end of this video, even if you made some mistakes, you will understand why, and next time you will do better, right? So this is what this practice test is all about. So let's start. So this is the practice test. You'll see it on my screen. The format is different, right? So the test that you will download is a PDF file. This is a Word document, but don't worry about it. The questions are the same. So this is the first one. Classify each of the following as a physical or chemical change by writing P for physical or C for chemical next to each entry, 2 points each. So the burning of gasoline in a car engine, is it a physical or chemical change? So physical changes change the appearance of a substance. Chemical changes actually change that substance's chemical composition. They make it into a new substance. So when we decide is it a physical or chemical change, we need to ask ourselves, are we forming a new substance? So anytime we burn something, burning is a chemical reaction. So we are creating something new. And anytime we have a chemical reaction, it's a chemical change. So we write C here. The evaporation of leftover T, when something evaporates, it changes state from liquid to gas. When we change state, we don't create new substances. It's still the same substance molecularly, just in a different state. So the evaporation of T is a physical change. The bleaching of hair with hydrogen peroxide. So are we creating a new substance? Is there a chemical change involved? Because if the answer is yes, then it's a chemical change. So when we bleach hair, hydrogen peroxide will actually react with melanin in our hair, and it will change it chemically. So because we are forming another substance, we're changing the nature of that substance. It's a chemical change. Glasses get foggy because of condensation. So what is condensation? Condensation is a change of state from gas to liquid. So in a gaseous state, water is H2O, right? In a liquid state, it's still H2O, right? So the molecular makeup of that substance didn't change. So that makes it a physical change. Metal scooter rusts when left outside on a rainy day. So rust is a chemical reaction. It happens when iron reacts with oxygen in the air. So that would be a chemical change because we are creating a new substance. Lemon juice is used to remove rust from a kitchen sink. There is an acid in the lemon juice that is used to clean rust. So it's a chemical reaction again. So this is going to be a chemical change. Dry ice sublimed. Sublimation is a change of state. That's when we go from solid directly to gas state. We don't go through liquid state at all. It happens at certain temperature and pressure. So when dry ice sublimes, because it's a change of state, it's going to be a physical change. Sugar dissolves in a cup of tea. So this is actually really tricky because it might seem like a chemical change, but it's not, because we go from having solid sugar to having sugar dissolved in water. So the chemical nature of sugar doesn't change, right? It's still the same sugar. It's just instead of being in the air, now it's dissolved in a solvent. It doesn't change from sugar to a different kind of substance. It's still sugar. So that's why it's a physical change. Meat burns when overcooked on a grill. Again, burning is a chemical change because we're combining with oxygen to create new substances. So that's a chemical change. Bubbles form when zinc reacts with hydrochloric acid. So bubbles are usually a sign of chemical reaction. And here's the key word here, right? Anytime you see this, that's going to be a chemical change, because we are being told, right, that there's a reaction between zinc and hydrochloric acid. So we had two substances by themselves, right? Zinc is a chemical substance. Hydrochloric acid is also a chemical substance. It's a molecule. And then we react them together and we form something new. So that's a very good example of chemical change. So that's it for the first one. So make sure you're adding up your points. So let's go to the second problem here. Classify each of the following as a physical or chemical property by writing P for physical or C for chemical next to each entry, 2 points each. So physical property is a property that substance will display without changing its composition. Chemical property is a property that substance will display when changing its composition. So first, the tendency of iron to rust when exposed to moisture. Well, rust is a chemical reaction. Formation of rust is a chemical reaction. So iron can only display this property when it's changing its chemical nature. So that is a chemical property. The bad smell of hydrogen sulfide. Hydrogen sulfide is a substance that tends to have a bad smell by itself. It doesn't need to combine with anything else or undergo chemical reactions to display this property, though. So this is a physical property. The sour taste of lemon, just like smell, taste is also a physical property, because lemon just displays it by itself without combining with anything else, without going through any kind of chemical reactions. So this is also a physical property. The flammability of diesel fuel. So flammability is the ability to burn. So burning is a chemical reaction, right? So in order to display this property, diesel fuel would have to change its chemical composition. So this is a chemical property. The blue color of cobalt, just like smell and taste, a color is one of those properties that substances display without changing their chemical composition. So this is a physical property. The ability of acids to neutralize bases. So when acid neutralizes base, it's changing its chemical nature. As a result of neutralization reaction, we have salt and water that form. So it's a chemical reaction and it's a chemical property. The toxicity of death cap mushrooms. So you can only be toxic if you combine with something else to poison it, right? So toxicity, by definition, is a chemical change because it can only be displayed by chemical reaction. The shine of silver. So that's very similar to color here, or smell or taste. Like metals tend to shine. They just shine by themselves without combining with anything else or undergoing chemical reactions. So that's a physical property. The density of gold is 19.3 grams per centimeter cubed. So that would be a physical property because Gold displays it by itself. It doesn't change its composition when it displays density. The decomposition of carbon dioxide into carbon and oxygen upon exposure to UV radiation, that is a chemical reaction, right? Decomposition of anything is a chemical reaction because we had carbon dioxide by itself, right? And then we are exposing it to UV light. And after that, we're forming carbon and oxygen. So we are starting off with one substance and turning it into something else. So the ability of that substance to do that would be a chemical property. So if you look at all the chemical properties here, right, the tendency to rust, tendency of acids to neutralize bases, right, acidity, toxicity, ability to decompose, all those properties are being displayed as we are changing the original substance into something new. So that new substance has a different chemical composition. It doesn't retain its original chemical composition, it's changing it. Whereas for physical properties, like for example, smell, taste, color, shine, density, we take the substance by itself, it's not changing its chemical composition, and it's displaying this property. Okay, we're moving on. Sally discovered that silverware that she inherited from her grandmother got tarnished. She tried cleaning it by rubbing it with the rough side of a sponge. She learned very quickly that it was not a good idea because silver got damaged. Name one chemical and one physical change that is mentioned in the problem. What makes those changes? Physical or chemical? So we have a few things that happen here to silver. This is the only substance that is mentioned in the problem. So obviously it has to do with silver. So first of all, we're told that silver got tarnished and then Sally was rubbing it. So two things happened here: tarnishing and then rubbing, or, scratching. Doesn't matter which way you phrase it. So one of them is a physical change, the other is a chemical change. Tarnishing is a chemical change because during tarnishing, silver will combine with sulfur containing molecules in the air, and this thin layer of corrosion, like similar to rust, will form, right? So this is a chemical change because there is a chemical reaction that happens. Rubbing or scratching is a physical change because it doesn't change the nature of that substance. If I take silver and I start scratching it, I don't change its chemical composition. It just goes from being, let's say, a normal shiny piece of silver to being a damaged piece of silver, but it's the same substance. So she tried to remove tarnish by scratching the silver, and it wasn't a good idea. So we did that part. So what makes those changes physical or chemical? You can say chemical reaction, or you can say changes the nature of that substance, or you can say forms a new substance. So all those answers are acceptable. For rubbing or scratching, you can say that rubbing does not change that substance's composition. So if you answered something along those lines, you can give yourself full credit. If you got part of it correct, you can give yourself partial credit. So just wanted to mention a few things. Whether you are talking about physical or chemical property or change, the key here is to realize that chemical property or chemical change will involve a chemical reaction. We're changing that substance chemically and we're forming another substance. For physical properties or changes, we're just changing the appearance of that substance, like the sugar that's dissolved in tea. We are going from solid sugar to sugar that is dissolved in tea or let's say in water. It doesn't matter where it's dissolved, but it's still sugar, right? Those sugar molecules are intact. So that's the most important point, right? So is the chemical nature of that substance intact, or we have changed that? If you got a good grade, good job. If your grade is not so good, well, hopefully now you understand this material better, so you'll do better next time. So if you have any questions, please mention them in the comments below. If you enjoyed watching this video, please give me a like and subscribe so that you don't miss future content, because I'll be coming out with more videos like that. I'll be coming out with more practice tests on different topics in biology and chemistry. So if you look at my channel, you will see that there are a lot of practice tests there already. And biology ones will have green thumbnail, and chemistry ones will have blue thumbnail, just to make it easier for you guys to find them. So hopefully see you next time. Bye bye.